Forward. Okay, recording in progress. Hi, welcome my parents online. If you guys can mute yourself, that would be great. So I can kind of talk freely to both virtual and my parents who are here in person. For those of you who don't know me, hold on, I'm trying to give myself a view. Oops, I'm keep letting people into the room. Okay. Okay, welcome. I don't get to talk to my parents very often when we're doing our auditions, and I'm always in there with your kids and stuff like that. And so welcome. This is our chance to talk and meet each other. The biggest thing that I tell my parents is I don't get paid for my job. I am 100% volunteer. And I think that most people go, well, how do you make a living, JoJo, and things like that. And what I like to tell everybody is that it's my job, my pleasure to do this. I worked really hard in the entertainment industry for 30 plus years, and I afforded some opportunities that I have income that comes in different ways. So my mom is the former mayor of Solana Beach. She helped found the city of Solana Beach. So that's kind of where I get it from. And so it's my way of giving back. I'm also on the Historical Society here locally, and I do a lot of work with them to kind of preserve the city of Solana Beach. So, oh gosh, hold on, a bunch of parents want to come in. Is my mom doing I don't know. No. Hold on. Okay, got them all. So that's the biggest note I like to tell my parents is that this is a labor of my love. All of the money and the fees that you pay go back into our program. So I don't collect one thin dime from ticket sales, from candy sales, from anything that you do. It goes right back into our programs. It is not inexpensive to run a theater program. It's our industry took a huge hit last year. Hey girls, quiet inside. Quiet them down, okay? Our industry took a huge hit last year, and I was the only theater that I know of that kept going through the pandemic. I kept kids outside by doing rehearsals in my backyard. My neighbors didn't like that too much. And I also did a drive-in at the park. I had Home Depot donate some wood to us, and we built a stage on my mom's tennis court, and so we can have an outdoor stage. Her neighbors didn't like it too much, so we kept getting shut down everywhere we went. But we never gave up. And so I worked my buns off. We rehearsed the show Mamma Mia for an entire year. I held a prom. We would have dances on Friday night. We learned TikToks and stuff like that. So we just kept going, and I just stretched my budget. I had a lot of kids try out for Mamma Mia, over 80. So I had so many kids that I was able to weather the storm. So I'm not here to charge you guys more money to like pay off debts and stuff like that. Just moving forward, this is what I'm doing. Most people don't understand how much it costs to put on a production. This show of Cinderella will be upwards to $25,000 to $30,000 to produce. So, and the reason is that I gotta pay rent. It ain't cheap here in Solana Beach. Not only does it cover my rent, but it's the lighting and the staging. We are close to finalizing a deal to go back to the same place we did Aladdin, which is an abandoned Staples in Encinitas. The company sold the property to a new company, and luckily one of my kids' brothers is the real estate agent. I'm like, yes. So we're like in like Flynn. I'm like, okay. So that's why I say it's like we're close to finalizing the deal. He has to get his supervisors who are based in another country or something like that to sign off on it, but it's looking pretty good. We usually kind of get it for free. We just have to pay some of the utilities, which is a couple $1,000s for the weeks that we're running lights and sounds and air conditioning and stuff like that. And then we have to rent all of our lighting and sound as well. I have my microphones have been used by, they were hand-me-down to me, given to me from another theater company. I started with 8, I'm down to 5 that work right now. So I only have 5 microphones. And luckily we have a wonderful lighting company and sound company that donate to us. We give them a 50% discount. So when I tell you a show costs $20,000 to $30,000, that's with those discounts. So they're expensive shows. I do not have a huge donor behind me. I'm working on it. Just this last year, within the last 6 months, we filed and got our 501c3 status as the Solana Beach Community Theater. So if you work at companies that do matching, if you work at, you've got an in with a big corporation, let us know. We'd love to have those luncheons and things like that. I have a board of that, and you're going to see this transition of Hey Jojo Productions kind of moving away and the Solana Beach Community Theater moving forward. So I had you guys pay to Hey Jojo Productions for this production because I can't transition that fast. I have a bank account for the Solana Beach Community Theater. What I don't have is, they don't pay our rent and stuff like that. So I said, I need a year to kind of transition out of Hey Jojo and then like transfer everything over. So Hey Jojo Productions will take the insurance hits and all that kind of stuff until we can transition. What's the difference? There will be no difference. Solana Beach Community Theater will be producing these shows, but for this year, Hey Jojo Productions will be producing the show, hoping to hand it off in the next fiscal year in January. That's the goal. However, if you want to donate, it can go on your taxes for this year and next year. It doesn't really matter. Other theater companies, I want you to know, even though I'm called the Solana Beach Community Theater, I consider a community from Carmel Valley to Carlsbad, and that's who I'm trying to serve. So I'll never try and rent this theater company that's any farther than that distance, and to keep us local. I don't want to grow and be huge. I'm not here to be the CYT of North County, which stands for Christian Youth Theater, that went under a couple of years ago. A lot of people think that I have this, like, I want to grow and grow and grow. I really don't. I like keeping it small and giving your kids this experience. They should have fun in the theater, and I want them to have good roles. So we try and keep our cast small so everybody can get a good part. So it looks a little skeleton crew when I first start singing Cinderella. I'm like, okay, so you're like a maiden 5 and you're maiden 2 and 5, you know? So they all have a couple of different lines. Hopefully each other's cast will want to join into the ball. So we'll have more dancers that your kids can join more than one cast once they figure out their main role. But that they don't have to come to a lot of rehearsals. They can just come to the shows. I will teach all of your kids how to ballroom dance, and whatever shows that they want to come to, they can join. Okay, so, but that will happen later. When are our shows? Once I have the solidified dates from the Staples, I'll send it out. I'm aiming for that week in December that I told you all to hold, which is December 7th through 12th. It will get busy because you're going to find out that a lot of your schools are starting to have like winter shows and Christmas shows. Hey, they're starting to have Christmas shows and stuff like that, and we're all kind of booking right now. I know Roger Rowe is competing against each other. I said, look, once I know your kid's schedule, this is the brilliance of having 4 casts. I can interchange the casts. If you have your microphones off, can you please? I'm going to mute people. So anyway, so your kids can be in multiple casts. My goal is to get them as much stage time as they possibly can have. So if they want to join more casts, great. If they don't have to. There's no pressure. I just think it looks a little nicer. And once Clue is finished, I think all my kids in Clue, I'm going to say, hey, we need some dancers. Want to learn the waltz? Let's go. COVID restrictions and things like this, I am not the mask police, is what I tell people. My entire staff is vaccinated. I definitely believe in the vaccine and I think it's working. But what I didn't know, I had a case of COVID go through my theater this summer and it transmitted to another kid. And it was because we were inside. So I just keep everybody outside. We're keeping fresh air and keep them lively. Hopefully our weather stays nice and we can keep this up. I know it affects more of my Monday and Wednesday casts when the light changes. I definitely have some lighting for outdoors here. Again, I was doing this on my mom's tennis court. So I have lots of, I have tents, I got lighting, I always have water. So I try and keep your kids outside. If your kids are vaccinated, I don't make them wear a mask. if they don't want to. If your kids aren't vaccinated, it is your call as a parent of how you want your kids to be being masked outside and things like that. I usually don't mask myself because I want them to hear me and understand me. Because if I'm muted, half the time, it goes nowhere. They're like, what? And I'm like, I just learned I'm 6 feet apart from them and I'm out here in the sunshine. So that's how I am rolling. I try not to go inside, but I do give the kids a break. Snacks. I ask each one of you, each parent, to bring at least one snack during rehearsal time. If your kid has a birthday, bring cupcakes. Then you got your snack covered, right? I actually have 2 birthdays today. So I'm like, okay, I'm buying some cupcakes because they're in tomorrow's cast. So a snack can be a healthy snack. It could be fresh fruit. It doesn't have to be chips and Rice Krispie treats. I'll tell you right now, they all like chips and Rice Krispie treats. But if you want to keep it healthy, go for it. I love those kind of lessons too. So it's the same thing with washing your hands, Purelling when you leave. We will be touching hands and things like that. I try and make the kids like Purell after everybody touches each other. So try and be as safe as we possibly can. I also tell parents, when the weather's hot, life happens. We will be wearing hats, feathers, wigs, hair accoutrements. We do clean them in between each show, but have your kids like bring their own brush and their own makeup applicators and stuff like that when we get down the line. Same thing with cleanliness. If your child is in 5th grade or older, I remind them to wear deodorant to everything. Between nerves and sweat and hot lights, these kids smell like a middle school gym. So it get a little ripe there towards the end. So, and these are costumes. They're not like clothing that I can just put into the wash. They're somewhat made a little rudimentary. So I can't always wash everything, especially ball gowns. So that brings me to my next thing. Yes, we need more ball gowns. I have quite a few. I'm not going to lie, but if you are a thrift store shopper or have different skill sets like shopping or finding items at thrift stores and wherever, love going to the swap meet, let me know if you're going to swap meeting. I will give you a list. It'll be random sometimes, like steering wheels and things like that. My daughter went to the swap meet. I'm like, I need a steering wheel. She's like, for what? I'm like, for a car and the outsiders. And she thought I was crazy, but I have a lot of weird needs and you'll never know what I'm going to actually need. So just ask me if you're doing those things or if you'd like to do those things. The other thing is painting sets and building. If anybody's a set builder or a painter, please send me an email and let me know. I aim to paint sets after the Sunday, in between the 2 Sundays. So I always do some kind of craft, whether it be painting or I'm going to make a lot of fake food because the cook has to bring platters of fake food. And so doing those kind of crafts, the kids love it. So, we'll be making sausages and like fruit platters. And we made a lot of cocktails during Mamma Mia, and they got really gummy and gross by the end of Mamma Mia. But again, I was rehearsing that show for an entire year. So this show's very fancy and fun, but there's some building projects. I showed the kids, there's a TikTok of some lady who made a pumpkin and it flaps down and turns into the carriage. It's super cool. I will post it on my website so you can all see it. I'm not a builder. I don't have like a jig, but I have a miter saw, which the fact that I know what a miter saw is kind of amazing. But if it's one of you, if this is like your skill set, I have like a sawhorse that we can like bring out here and go to town one afternoon. And if you're a good painter, I don't say if you can paint a bedroom, great. If you have actually some skills to make the pumpkin look like real, excellent. I'm not the greatest painter in the world, but my sister and I have a designer who is designing all of our sets. So what are our sets going to look like? When we did Aladdin, such an easy show because we rented these great projections. This show will not have projections, but I'm renting a backdrop of a magical forest. And we have panels inside and they'll be on these carts and the carts turn. So you have 3 scenes. Our 3 scenes are going to be a town, a giant clock, which is inside the castle, and then inside of Cinderella's house. So it'll be kind of okay looking. I think that's everything. And so if you have any other skills besides building and painting, if you like to sew, let me know. We might have to make a lot of little balloon pants out of like some satin materials. Right now, everything is Halloween. So it's like I'm ganging up on Halloween. If your kids do cotillion, fantastic. I need gloves. I need old cotillion dresses. That's basically how I started collecting all my ball gowns, is from kids going to cotillion. And believe it or not, a lot of kids in Rancho Santa Fe still have cotillion. So if your kid does cotillion, great, I'll take any size. If it doesn't fit your kid, totally fine. I go from 5 to 18. So I take the whole gamut. Ladies, your old dresses that you've worn to somebody's wedding or anybody's, I use my own personal prom dress in one of our shows. Yeah, if you have your old prom dress. I went to a high school where we all had to wear white during our graduation. It has been a wedding gown in multiple shows that I've done. So it's like, you never know what I'm going to need. Also, if parents, this sounds bad, but if your parents die or you have a relative that dies that wore funky things, bring them to me. I donate. My sister is on the board of the CRC, which is the Community Resource Center. They have a drop off in Encinitas. I always tell people, my parents, bring them to JoJo first. I do a first pick through. Anything I don't think we're going to need, I donate to the CRC. And I get, my costumer and I would get like free access into the CRC late at nights. And we go, we hand pick. And actually I got a wedding dress for Emma from them. And it's like a size 0. It's like, my sister goes, who's ever going to fit in this? I'm like, a 10-year-old. So I do have quite a few things that I've gotten from the CRC, which is great. But I always like a first pick. And you don't think about it, but men's suits, always use, because I use them as police officers and whatnot. And like for the prints, I want to like, you know, add some bling to it and things like that. So a white suit. I used to volunteer at the Rose Parade. I had to wear a white suit. I'm like, I use it in like every show. So, and I'm a bigger girl, and you wouldn't think my kids things would fit some kids. You'd be amazed at who walks in my door. You never know. So that then white, black, yellow, whatever color you are in the rainbow, I can fit something on your kid. Your kids should never feel uncomfortable or embarrassed when we're measuring them. We want them to look their best. So, and that's what we do. Okay. So we try and make them, I built this theater as like, for your kids to have the best theater experience that they could ever have, because I've been in so many bad theaters. And I don't know if that was you, but theater can be cruel, you know. Teachers have like their favorites and that they always go to the same kids. We try and mix it up here, and we really try and make everybody have a part somewhere down the line in their future. And I give better roles to kids when they're nice and when they're polite. And so doing things like taking out JoJo's trash, showing up on time and being polite and kind and not talking during rehearsals and things like that, those things get rewarded over anything else. And the kids who work the hardest. So sometimes you might go, gosh, well, that Cinderella's really tone deaf. Trust me, she has been a good kid and she tried really hard. And that speaks way more to me than, because we want to mix it up. And so everybody gets that opportunity here. We don't just pick the same 10 kids. There's a lot of theaters that do that, and those theaters, good on you. They do great shows. That's not us. I try and give everybody a break. And you can tell me when your kid's having a tough time. I've had parents go, you know, all of her friends have had leads, but she never gave her one. I'm like, she's due for, we call it a bump. She's due for a bump. So if your kids have been here for a bit and haven't gotten that bump, just please talk to me. Also, tell me if your kid suffers from something, if they have an IEP. I don't know. I want to figure it out 2 years down the line. And someone goes, oh, my kid really has a learning disability. And I'm like, oh, and you never told me? I want to know. I want to help them. I don't want to embarrass them. Okay. It's really hard to get to learn a kid in 2 minutes in an audition with 3 other kids in the room. So I really got to learn, and it's very hard and very difficult. I tend not to give new kids a lead because I don't know them yet. So almost every once in a while, one will sneak in, but for the most part, I try and give your kids more of an ensemble role with their new, and they will get to know us and I get to know them. And then I can kind of see where I'm going to place them in the next show. Okay. with that, it's 1:20. I said 20 minutes. If you have any questions, you can now email them to me. Thank you all for participating online. I'll talk to my parents here. Anybody online have a question that they want to ask? And then I can talk to you guys. No? Well, thank you and welcome to Cinderella.
Wait, we have a question.
Oh, Gabby's got a question. Okay, yes, Gabby, what's your question?
When will the schedule for practices and that come
Right.
out?
Good question. So choreography schedule. My choreographer Carlos was just cast in 2 shows on Friday, so he's waiting for his schedules before we set our schedules. But congratulations, Carlos. But they are coming up pretty fast. I told Brenda, I'm like, we can kind of take our time. I like to get to know the show a little bit before we just jump right into choreography, because then the kids get bored. So that's coming. So I should have it out hopefully by Tuesday. Also, the music and things like that. We have a new website. I'm not totally figured it all out yet, but I invited most of you to a group. I want you to join the Cinderella group. I dropped all the music in there so your kids can listen to it online. If you need, all I have to do, if it doesn't work on their computer, they just shoot me an email. It comes right to me. I allow them into the room. I just don't have all your kids' email addresses, because on your audition forms, you just put your address, which is fine. So I told the kids, just email me and I'll let them into this group so they can start listening to the music. If it doesn't work, I also have it on my Google Drive. I can share the drive very fast. So, and the script will be there too, because they will get a script when they come. I print it once, I don't print it twice. So if they lose the script at home, you can now print it off your home computer. Okay. Any other questions from online?
When do they get their roles?
When they come to their first rehearsal. So my first morning class just got their roles. So when your kids come to rehearsal this week, they will get their roles. Okay. Okay. Any more questions online? Okay. Thank you, online listeners. I'm going to talk to my parents here and I'll see you at rehearsals. If you don't know what day your kid is, let me know. Send me an email. Jojo at Hey Jojo Productions. Okay. Bye.